You're listening to the Doc Lounge podcast. This is a place for candid conversations with the healthcare industry's top physicians, executives, and thought leaders. This podcast is made possible by Pacific Companies, your trusted advisor in physician recruitment.
Welcome back to the Doc Lounge podcast, where we bring you real conversations with physicians and healthcare leaders shaping the future of care. I'm your host, Stacey Doyle, Senior Director of Marketing at Pacific Companies. And today I'm incredibly honored to introduce Dr. Luissa Kiprono. Dr. Kiprono's story is nothing short of extraordinary, from growing up as a refugee in communist Romania, to becoming a maternal-fetal medicine specialist here in the U.S. Her journey is one of resilience, grit, and purpose. She's also a U.S. Air Force veteran and the founder and CEO of TeleMed MFM, a nationwide telemedicine practice expanding access to high-risk pregnancy care across geographic barriers. Beyond her clinical work, Dr. Kiprono is a powerful advocate for women in medicine and leadership. Through mentorship, speaking, humanitarian missions, and community outreach, she's helping women not just succeed, but truly thrive. She's also the author of the Amazon best-selling memoir, Push, Then Breathe, Trauma, Triumph, and the Making of an American Doctor, where she shares her deeply personal journey from trauma to transformation and her mission to empower others to heal, lead, and rise. Dr. Kiprono, we're so excited to have you here today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Stacey. I am honored to be here in front of you and in front of your audience.
Well, we couldn't be more excited to have you. Love hearing from different physicians about how they got into their specialty and, how they started. But you really have an incredible journey, obviously, from being a refugee in Romania to where you are today. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, I will keep it short because that in itself could be a a podcast episode, right? So I was born and raised in communist Romania. I came to United States for a 2-month visit, 1 month short of the age of 19. Due to some very unfortunate and unforeseen circumstances, I was not allowed to go back to Romania. So 15 years after I arrived to this country, I succeeded and graduated medical school with a degree of doctor of osteopathy. I was also a recipient, a very proud recipient, I may add, of the U.S. Air Force scholarship program. So pretty much what it is the Air Force. I applied, and as a candidate, I got accepted and honored to get the full scholarship, which really is a free ride to go to school, medical school. Afterwards, so I decided to do OBGYN as my residency. I did a combined military residency in Ohio. I did my payback to the Air Force in Keesler Air Force Base in Mississippi. And afterwards, I went back to training really, and I finished my fellowship in maternal-fetal medicine and my master's in biomedical sciences. So it was a tandem program.
Impressive.
So afterwards, I became the medical director of the MFM practice in Southern Indiana for about 5 years. Then I moved to Texas. So presently I live with my family in San Antonio, Texas. So I've been here since 2019. And then was here the corporate director for 5 years for a large practice. And then due to that practice's closure right after COVID, I opened my own practice in telemedicine. TeleMed MFM is 100% telemedicine platform, virtual platform in high-risk pregnancies, consultation services, except for procedures for obvious reasons. So we do full scope maternal-fetal medicine, high-risk pregnancies, consultations, preconception counseling, everything that entails to high-risk pregnancy and high-risk obstetrical care. Also in 2020, I got my executive MBA from University of Tennessee at Knoxville. And then I decided that probably I should stop. I don't want to have truly an alphabet soup right after my name. So yeah, but I think it's really, Stacey, is we always grow and we always evolve. So to me, age is just a number. And, as long as you feel intrigued and interested to thrive and just keep going and discovering new sides of yourself, why not?
I love that, and such an impressive and fascinating background. I wanted to dive a little into, because I know we have a lot of fellows and residents that listen. What was really that defining moment when you knew maternal fetal medicine was your calling?
So I think it's really multifactorial, and it morphed into it. To become a doctor, it always was my dream and my passion since I was a fifth grader. And then, I, like you said, as I finished my medical school, really my first interest was general surgery. Okay. And I did my rotation in general surgery. I did not like it. And the reason was that it was a lot of surgery, but not a lot of patient contact. Okay. So when I say that, it's like I enjoy the counseling part. Don't take me wrong. When I was in the OR as an OBGYN, I enjoyed it. But when I stepped out of the OR, I really didn't miss it. Okay. But when I would step into the labor and delivery unit and I would counsel my patients and my high risk pregnancies as a resident or as a medical student and learning through the rotations what specialty I may or may not like, I noticed, it's like, it's almost like a draw. I mean, somebody says, must be some chemicals in labor and delivery that you guys love it so much. I said, no, it's like, to me, obstetrics is like either you hate it or you love it. It can be lukewarm, okay? Because obstetrics is like critical care. It can change in a split second. And you can't just be like, I'm pondering, what could be this? No, you got to act. It's very fast paced, and you have to, listen to your gut, listen to your experience, make sure that you fully, look and assess your patient and then go with that. You just can't, take your time. When it comes to high-risk pregnancies, I had high risk pregnancies myself with both my sons, but it is a bond that, first of all, as humans, any human being, that's our Achilles tendon. We can all boast our riches, our smarts, right? That we are doing great until something health-wise happens. And then really we are just scared and confused. And we do not know what to do next because we're so vulnerable. And when it comes to pregnancy, it is heightened. I say 10 times over, 20 times over. Why? Because pregnancy outside a wedding, really, or outside marriage, pregnancy is the most happy or the happiest, the most fulfilling period in a family, but also a woman's life, right? So imagine how much it hinges on a woman and on a pregnancy and on to make sure that both, not only baby or not only mom, but both the pregnancy is doing well, mom is doing great, the baby is safe and is growing appropriately. So as I was doing my OBGYN residency, it just was it was very easy. It came very easy to me to take care of regular pregnancies, regular moms, low risk gestations. But I have this detective kind of brain, so that the more complex that case is, the more it will just draw my attention, and I get really, really into it, and I want to solve it. Then that's probably what drew me so much to high risk pregnancies. The rewards are immense. Yes, there is also the not so good news that we have to give, and of course that is the downside of my specialty. But just have to put it in perspective, Stacy, because think about this way: we also want to be able to detect not easy, but early. Mm-hmm. Right? You want to detect early whatever that is, whether it's maternal, but also in utero, because that allows you to prepare yourself and prepare your patient and prepare the care that's given afterwards. So that proactiveness and the pragmatic follow through, there's like, okay, well, we got this big bowl of lemons. Now, how can we make just as best lemonade as we possibly can with it, given the circumstances?
Well, such an inspiring, obviously, story and background about why you went into the specialty. And I wanted to now kind of pivot because I know you founded TeleMed MFM because you wanted to expand access to high risk, pregnancy care. Tell us, what was that gap you were seeing that pushed you to build this?
Just to give you some numbers, there are about 37 million women of fertile age in the United States, depending on what data you read. There are only 1,587 maternal-fetal medicine specialists in the United States. I mean, it is a pretty big gap. Yes. And now take that, because I teach in telemedicine. I just showed up at a lecture, not showed up, but I was invited to give a lecture at the Texas Medical Association in Corpus Christi 2 weeks ago. And I always say this, you look at the number and say, oh, it's 1,587, okay, which is only about 12% more than 10 years ago. But that is all comers, Stacy, right? I mean, a lot of female physicians work part-time on 3/4 of the time. We have people who are part-time because they are retired. There are also locums that don't really work 100%, right? They work maybe a week, a month, or so forth. There are also retired MFMs, but they are not yet showing on the census as retired. I would like to venture, although there are no clear numbers, but when I last checked with my society, it's about 1,000 of us full time. So imagine that. So that impact. Yes. So when COVID happened, right? COVID brought about the only, I would say, positive force, if I may say so, into the market, and that is telehealth. And it just kind of sped up. So I remember when I got out of fellowship in 2013, I said, God, imagine if we just do virtual visits so we can reach out to further people. We'll be so much better served. And really, COVID pushed it further 10 years, I would say a decade. And I really, I feel very strongly in keeping that. And I don't think you can put the toothpaste back in the tube. Really, it's kind of out, because it's just not telemedicine in MFM. It's not only in, radiology. It's not only in family practice. It's everywhere. Everywhere that we can substitute, we can adjunct to the brick and mortar clinics, because that's what it is. People think telemedicine or telehealth is going to replace, the traditional brick and mortar visits. No, it's not. You just become more accessible. You should be, changing with the times and adapting and evolving to serve better your patients. Why would I have my patients, drive 2.5 hours one way for a 30 minutes visit? Like, even when you are in the town, right? I'll give an example. And you know this, when you go to the doctor in clinic, between leaving your house or your workplace to coming back, it takes about 2.5 hours. Now, virtually, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
On an average.
Yeah.
20 minutes. So that it's amazing. You don't have to battle traffic. You don't have to stress to find parking. You don't have to stress finding babysitting. Now, with MFM, with maternal-fetal medicine, a lot of people ask me, says, how does it work? How does it work? Because you have ultrasounds. So then the way it works is that, think about this way. You go to your doctor clinic, and you go in and checked in, get vitalized, the nurse talks to you. So everybody in my clinics are on the ground in a, traditional physical clinic, except for me. So the maternal-fetal medicine physician shows up through the screen, just like we are right now talking to each other. And I'm looking at the ultrasounds in real time. I'm speaking to my sonographers, my nurses, my MAs. My patients are in the consultation room or in the ultrasound room, and they wheel the cart in with the screen and the video feed, and we discuss and we put the plan together. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I was going to when you're talking through this, I'm assuming that this is giving access to a lot of the underserved or rural communities where there's no MFMs around.
Right. And it's for the patient. I mean, the benefits are so multifactorial. Think about preconception counseling. Those patients don't even have to come in. Okay. Those are called video visits. Okay. So what they do is, after they get set up and scheduled, the EMR or the EHR scheduling sends them a link, a video link, and then they check in virtually through the help of my MAs. And then you get a message that the patient is in the virtual room, and some of them are in their, in the break room, in their lunch time. Some are in the car parked in the parking lot. Some of them are in bed. I'm sorry, but that's true. But to me, it's the convenience. Some of them have like 2, 3 kids that they have to, they run. Sometimes I see them there, and they try their best. But again, the alternative is that they may not show up. They cannot show up. The social determinants of health always should be taken into consideration. Just because some people can afford, that doesn't mean everybody can afford. As a matter of fact, quite the contrary. Most of them don't afford.
Yeah. Now, it sounds like this is such a seamless and an amazing process and experience, and it's going to give the care and the treatment plans for anyone that's high risk, a great solution. Now, what do you do, obviously, for the birth? How do you coordinate that?
Very good question. So remember, I am a consultant. At this time, I would say 99.2% of maternal-fetal medicine specialists do not do deliveries. Not anymore. The shift started changing about 2010. And the reason is that, because some people may say, well, why don't you guys? Well, as I say, you cannot be a good OB by night and a great MFM by day. I just can't. Think about it. If I have to stay until 3 a.m. to deliver a baby, and then show up at 8 o'clock to take care of a full clinic of high-risk pregnancies, how long can I actually sustain that? And am I going to serve my high-risk patients well? Because when you get so chronically exhausted, you don't really perform. I mean, you forget, you misdiagnose, or you misdocument. I mean, it's just human beings, we just can't keep on going. It's not like you have a low risk clinic during the day and then, you also deliver at night. I did have a gap, okay, between my MFM training and my OB residency. So that was to pay back the military, and I did quite a bit of locums as well in the same time. And so I did my full share of call and deliveries, and I love delivering. I tell you, it was very hard for me to let go of that. It kind of, just like it was very hard for me to let go from my GYN, because, it's a skill. It took me 40 years to learn the skill to GYN surgeries, and now I let it go. It's almost like, to me, it's like a shame. It's like, okay, you put all this work, but you have to make that leap and say, well, and they decide, are you going to be an OB, a GYN, or a maternal-fetal medicine specialist? So at this time, we don't deliver OB hospitalists. That movement really has been extremely helpful for both MFMs and general OBs. They are, working in a 12-hour shifts or 24-hour shifts and provide services, inpatient services exclusively. Really, the deliveries, the cerclages, all that is covered by OBs. So the only thing that we have as MFMs in private practice is really amniocentesis, CVS, which are all genetic diagnostic tests. Okay. But again, those numbers went down too, quite significantly, because of the non-invasive prenatal testing and screening.
Makes sense. Well, tell us, what do you think is the biggest challenge right now facing high-risk pregnancies in the U.S.?
There is two, and they done each other. One is access to care, and access to care it's lower and lower because of the maternal deserts, because of the lack of funding. Maternal deserts, meaning that there are counties and counties of hospitals without maternity wards. So that is huge. Also, the patients are becoming more and more high risk because of the increased comorbidities. We have, we just have a health epidemic in obesity, high, and all the comorbidities to come with it, high blood pressure, diabetes. We also have moms who are older and older when decided to get pregnant after they, further their careers. And I personally, I was an advanced maternal age mom when with both my children, and because I had to finish my education, and you gotta make sacrifices. But then comes with a price, because now you are high risk not only for your age, but with all the diagnoses that actually start piling up in any human being as we get older, right? So, and that on top is genetics, because now, you have a higher risk for Down syndrome, for chromosomal abnormalities, babies, more high risk for having twin gestations, infertility, IVF. So again, remember I said to you, each one of your questions, we can actually do an episode, because it's so multifactorial. It's so important to make not only the public, but also the young minds that are about to be residents, that are about to choose a career, and what to do next, and what challenges are facing.
Well, that is a great segue. I know you're a strong advocate for women in medicine and leadership. So how do you think we can get more women into that leadership role and have more awareness around these important topics?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that when it comes to women in leadership, and I actually spoke about that in lectures as well, leadership in medicine, but also inequalities in physicians between the gender, inequalities in pay, but also not only that, it's actually how you move up the ladder. And the problem is that as we move up the executive ladder, the less percentage of female physicians make it. There is, again, there are different reasons. One is because women also have the additional burden. Well, I don't know if it's a burden, depending how you look at it. That we are carrying children. We can't just give it to somebody to carry for 9 months, unless you want to have a surrogate, of course. But so, having to have to complete their education, then complete their family, then be able to also operate clinically, and then still have time to develop themselves from the executive level, or, getting to be able to move up the ladder. Women physicians do get passed on when it comes to this kind of positions, or they get stuck in areas they really don't thrive in. And I'll give you an example. Everybody has its strengths, Stacey. Like, for instance, my strengths are, clinical, executive, but some people's strengths are more research. Some of them are more teaching. Some of them are more mentoring. So some of them are just purely executive. So if you just take this, this women clinician and say, hey, I have this project for you. Do you want to take it? She may take it, or chances are she will take it, because she doesn't want to disappoint her boss. But also, it may not be a fit for her, but she takes it kind of reluctantly, because she sees that that's a kind of a segue for her to be able to advance. But if you don't do something with all your passion, you're not going to thrive in it. So now it's almost like reluctantly you do something that, just to kind of do the deed to get you hopefully to the next step. But then it shows in the way, you execute things. So it shows in your performance, because you're just not happy. Why don't we figure out what is everybody's strengths? They bring their strengths to the table, not just, hey, all comers, whatever you pick, and whatever is left to pick, we'll go from there, right? So that's one. Again, family, it's big. Age is against us, as we get older. It's the pressure, clinical pressure, the fact that we want to advance, and it's gets harder and harder. And really, there is a lot of networking to be done. And if you have, as you go into the subspecialty ladder, like as a maternal-fetal medicine specialist or any subspecialties, there is a stark discrepancy between women versus men percentages when it comes there. So for instance, if you have in a department, you have 10 MFMs, let's say, right, in a large department, and only 3 are women. Well, and the director is a male physician or male director, then it's going to be that drive towards the gender. Everybody has his strengths, but I think that we need to lead equally. And yes, nobody was born to be a director, okay, or an executive. So I believe in a succession program. Every director, every CEO, every chairman, they should have a succession program or a succession plan. Hey, I got in the next 3 years, these are the people who I have, identified as they would have an interest, and I think they would be good to take my place. And I would do with this particular team, I would just give them different opportunities, and they will declare themselves. The one that will actually be the best chosen is the one that's going to show in more than one area. But those things are not, and nothing is thought that way. It's like we're just such a reactive kind of organization when it comes to healthcare, right? We wait until the medical director or the leadership kind of falls apart, and then we're looking for another. What it really is, the most interesting thing is that they do a nationwide search, and sometimes it's good, right? Because you may not have a local candidate. But let me tell you, if there are local candidates, I think that as long as they are, worthy when it comes to the way they deliver as a physician and as a leader, give them the right of way. And what happens is they know the system. They know their environment. They know already how to operate. They're not like like you took a strange duck and you put them in the strange pond. Like they need to learn how where the bathrooms are first, never mind what the system is. So, and because I've been there and I know when we moved to San Antonio, I came in as just a physician. I had no interest to pick back up a directorship position. And days after I came, they demoted the director, and they asked me to take over. 10 days. And this is a large practice. This is a 52 employee practice. It's just, and had 4 hospitals, 4 clinics, 5 hospitals, 4 clinics. San Antonio is big. It's 1.2, 1.3 million people. And I was like, for the first 6 months, let me tell you, I was like, what's that? Which is, what is who and what? It just, you have to really, be able to know what's your groundwork like. So I think that that's important to remember. Succession, plan, and also how do you prioritize your candidates. And for women, really, we have this imposter syndrome. As we spoke before we started our talk. It's like, well, what about if I make a fool of myself? Well, nobody was born knowing everything. So we just have to remember that. Hey, you know what? Next time I learn it, I'll do it better.
Great advice and great insights of really a new approach of really building out that succession plan as you were talking about. And I want to have you have time to tell all of our, audience members what really, I know you published the book, Push Then Breathe. It's obviously a personal book for you. Tell us what inspired you to share your story now.
So this book, I started writing it about 2 months after I came to the United States. Handwrite it in Romanian, and didn't speak any English when I came to America. And then after about 3-4 pages, I think about it was half a chapter. I said, you know what, I'm just gonna not like to write anymore. So I closed the the notebook. I put it aside, and it stayed like that until about 2015. And then it started to kind of circle my mind. It was like, you know what, maybe it's time. What about if I do that? And the reason that I think it took so long is one, because I had a lot of trials and tribulations to get what I had to get and, fulfill my dream. And then family and children, and I was a single parent at the time. It was just too much. So now that I'm starting to kind of settle on a lot of other aspects, I said, I think it's time. I hired a book coach to help me, stay on track and work on this. I really wanted to put it on paper what I went through. But not only that, because that is very personal. And like everyone that's ridden with trauma, we are afraid that people are going to think of us less. We are ashamed that this happened to us. And how could I have not seen it coming, right? So that idea. And we think that we are just alone. Bad things only happen to us, and nobody else is going to either have interest to read about it or believe in that. But then I said, you know what? If this needed to be written. If nothing else, because there are people out there, even if it's 1 in a million, that will be able to read this book, take from it my message that we are all meant to thrive in life, that we have to deal with our trials and tribulations, and we have to overcome them. Because really, we have so many possibilities. We are so unique. We are so gifted. And we need to take those possibilities and make them into certainties, because it's our world. And if we don't do that, we're just going to survive, Stacey. But we're not meant to survive. We're meant to thrive, right? I mean, it's no fun to just be like, okay, I'm just dragging along for the next 50 years versus, you know what? I've done what I put my mind, whatever that is, and just accomplish it. Just be proud. And small victories, it's a victory.
Well, that is such a great conclusion. I love your story. It's so inspirational. And I hope everybody that's listening has learned a lot and goes and, gets the book, Push Then Breathe. So I want to give you an opportunity to let everyone know how they can get the book and how they can get a hold of you, and obviously TeleMed MFM. So they might want to have a consult and have you as, their future doctor and clinician.
Yes. So my practice, you can find my website on TeleMed, TeleMed MFM, Mike, Foxtrot Mike, @gmail.com as my email, and as a website, telemedmfm.com. My platform and my book and now my foundation, I just actually finished filing and getting approved for my nonprofit. All this information can be found on my other website, which is Luissa with double S, K.com. So drluissak.com. And I can be reached through the contact form there. My website, my literary website and platform also has my opportunity for you to purchase the signed or autographed memoir of mine. That is, I think it's really, to me, it's really cool to be able to offer my readers to be able to have a signed copy. But also you can find the memoir on Spotify, on Apple, in Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and so forth. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kiprono. It really was a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you, ma'am. Anytime.
Thank you to all of our listeners. If you would like to be notified when new episodes air, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And a big thank you to Pacific Companies. Without you guys, this podcast would not be possible. If you would like to be a guest, please go to www.pacificcompanies.com. Thank you.